All right, we're going to call the Legislative Branch Subcommittee Fiscal Year 2021 Subcommittee Markup to order. Welcome to our subcommittee's markup. I very much appreciate the hard work and collegial attitude of all the members of this subcommittee, and particularly the contributions and cooperation of our ranking member, Ms. Herrera-Butler. Thank you for being so great to work with. There are a lot of needs and good causes within the jurisdiction of this subcommittee, and we've tried to take care of the highest priorities throughout the bill with the amounts available to us. Fundamentally, our bill provides necessary increases to support the staffing and other resources needed by Congress to do its job well, to maintain and build analytic capacity in the legislative branch. For example, the bill provides a $25 million increase for the members' representational allowance, which covers staff, district office space, and other necessities. I also believe this funding is sufficient to address our new normal as members move to higher tech means of interacting with constituents. Our bill creates a new House Modernization Initiatives account and provides a down payment of $2 million to start the process of modernizing the House. I believe this funding is necessary to bring the House into the 21st century. The bill also provides increases to main analytical agencies in the legislative branch to continue building their capacity, including the Congressional Budget Office, Congressional Research Service, and Government Accountability Office. Now that I've mentioned all the parts of this bill that I know there is broad consensus on, I want to discuss some items that require a more difficult conversation. First, I once again included language in the bill to permit people holding employment authorization under the DACA program to work for Congress and other ledge branch agencies. Dreamers are Americans and should be able to serve their country in this body. I included it because it is the right thing to do. I hope we can address this issue government-wide at some point this year, but in the meantime, I want to welcome these members of our national community to seek employment with Congress and the legislative branch agencies. Second, the bill flat funds the Capitol Police. However, the bill does make the necessary adjustments to ensure that the staffing levels in fiscal year 2020 can be maintained in fiscal year 2021. In addition, included in the report are various requirements to bring greater transparency to the Capitol Police. If we are going to demand change throughout the country, we must show that we are willing to start in our own backyard. Third, the bill includes language blocking the cost of living adjustment for members of Congress. Right now, with everything going on in our country, I believe this is necessary. However, I would like to point out that this will be the 12th consecutive year that no cost of living adjustment has been provided. We cannot keep turning this into a gotcha moment. Right now, every federal judge, from the district court to the Supreme Court, is compensated at a much higher rate than members. In fact, some senior executives in the executive branch are paid at higher rates. As of May 2020, average rent for an apartment in Washington, D.C. is $2,339. We have members sleeping in their offices to save money. So we need to have a real adult discussion on this issue and stop using it to score easy political points, or this body will be filled with only millionaires who do not represent the vast majority of the American people. Finally, this bill includes long overdue language directing the architect to remove statues or busts in the U.S. Capitol that represent figures who participated in the Confederate Army or government, as well as the statues of 4 white supremacists, including Roger B. Taney. I hope that this action will begin a larger conversation we need to have about other statues in the Capitol representing figures who opposed various minority groups, and there may be portraits throughout the Capitol complex that need to be reevaluated. I know this is part of a larger national debate that other appropriations subcommittees will address, but we need to make a statement now on something we can control: the removal of statues that many visitors to the Capitol find offensive. This is the people's house, so let's make sure all people are welcome. I ask for your support for this bill. I would now like to turn to Ms. Herrera Butler, our distinguished ranking member, for her comments.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and it has been a pleasure, as always, to work with you in this distinguished committee, which I wouldn't trade. I appreciate it. And I also want to say thank you to our full committee chairwoman and ranking member for being here today. Chairwoman Lowy, it's been an honor to work with you over my last 9 years. I mean, you've done many more than that. But I want to say how thankful I am that you and our ranking member are taking, have worked and endeavored to build cooperation and a relationship as you navigate an incredibly important subcommittee where you will be missed. And I appreciate that you all both are taking the pandemic so seriously and taking and really kind of greenlighting getting the necessary precautions in place so that we can attempt to return to a normal, which we're also anxious to do at some point. The recommendation for the fiscal year 2021 Ledge Branch Appropriations bill provides $4.198 billion, excluding our the Senate items, which historically are left to the Senate to determine, although I think we should tell them not to put their names on their pencils anymore. It's a little weird. This bill is $207 million above the fiscal year 2020 level and the $297 million below the budget request. I'd like to thank the Chairman Ryan for his cooperation and his support on several initiatives that are important to me and his support of the requests made by my Republican colleagues. The House has had to rapidly adjust to the way it does business due to COVID-19. And through the collaboration of our leadership, committees, and agencies, the operations of the House have become more flexible, but also more reliant on technology. I haven't seen many of my staff in DC for months, but we've communicated via technology, which has been good. The bill offers support that would allow the House to maximize its effectiveness with the use of technology while maintaining decorum, increasing transparency, and allowing this chamber to function for the foreseeable future through this pandemic. And I'm also pleased to see that this bill supports accessibility for visitors and staff with disabilities. As was said, this is the People's House, and we do need to make sure that we're taking real steps to make sure that anybody who wants to come and be a part of this can do so, especially people with different abilities. Specifically provides an opportunity to address the need for increased assistance to deaf or hard of hearing Capitol Hill staff members, interns, and public visitors by seeking recommendations for technologically assisted devices. In addition to adequately funding the Library of Congress for the many functions that it provides, this bill supports 3 major construction projects. $10 million, the second installment for the library to continue its vision of the new visitor experience to the Thomas Jefferson Building, $4.37 million to complete the second of 3 phases of the shelving replacement in the law library's collection storage areas, and $41.5 million for the permanent collection storage Module 7 at the Fort Meade Library of Congress campus to alleviate the shortage of collection capacity on Capitol Hill. This bill also supports the critical mission of the Capitol Police as they continue to protect members, staff, visitors, and the facilities of Congress with professionalism, pride, and effectiveness. And I, too, believe that the training and the updated equipping needed that's in the underlying bill, we need to move forward with. I think it's a good time to make sure we're making those adjustments and modifications. Let me say thank you to our Capitol Police for their service. We are grateful for you. However, I do have outstanding issues with this bill. And I'm pleased to see that the architect of the Capitol was able to secure almost 60% of the funding requests to maintain, operate, develop, and preserve the House office buildings. I have serious concerns regarding the absence of any additional funding to procure the cleaning supplies necessary to keep the Capitol campus a safe place to conduct business. The Inspector General report last month indicated that funds for cleaning supplies and activities would only last until the end of June. This is the People's House, and the American people expect us to continue our work to help citizens and businesses survive the pandemic. We must ensure the safety of the men and women who work and visit the Capitol complex as best that we can, and we cannot do that if we're not able to clean our own buildings. As was noted, I also have some concern about the overall increase in funding in this bill, particularly because we didn't create a new funding. Out of that, we didn't allow for continued cleaning and supplies, knowing that those things are going to be needed, obviously now or in the very near future. Last year, the bipartisan budget agreement set our funding caps for 2021. And the reason this 5% increase was able to happen was because it was placed on the back of the emergency funding that had been used in the other bills, freeing up space within the budget caps to spend more during the regular appropriations. Now, I remain hopeful we can work through this and on other controversial issues that were mentioned, come up with a bill that we can all support, because ultimately that's the goal. I thank the chairman and the subcommittee, majority and minority staff for your hard work putting this bill together. And with that, I yield back.
I thank the ranking member. I now, before I recognize Chairwoman Lowy for her final legislative branch subcommittee statement, I just want to add to the chorus of committee members who are thanking you for your leadership. I came here as a very young man when I was 29 years old and made my way onto the Appropriations Committee in 2006. And I remember you and Dave Obey and Jack Murtha and some of the real giants from this committee, and watching you outfox them, may be a way to say it in so many ways, but also to have the opportunity to travel with you and watch you articulate America's position abroad. I'll never forget our trip to Pakistan and several other countries where young members like me were asking you to give us a break. You're working us too hard, and you didn't. But just want to say thank you for all of your leadership over the years. You've been a joy to work with and an amazing leader in this Congress. And as Ms. Wasserman Schultz said last night, so many women members who have looked up to you. And so we're going to miss you. And I now yield to Ms. Lowy.
Well, first of all, I want to thank you very much for your generous comments. It's really been a pleasure for me and an honor to serve. And I just want to say again, in addition to the opportunities that this position provides, as you were mentioning, whether it's Pakistan or elsewhere, just getting to know the members who come from all kinds of backgrounds and sharing experience with them, especially someone like, I won't just tell you what I ask you every day. Have you been there yet? We all are different personalities, different lives, but we share our commitment to this great country of ours. And through the appropriations process, we all have the interest of the next generations in our mind as we try and do the right thing. So everything doesn't always come out exactly as we want it, but having good members such as yourself and others who serve on this committee really have made a difference, not only to the country, not only to the House, but my life. So thank you for your kind words. So I thank Chairman Ryan and Ranking Member Herrera Butler for their work on this bill, as well as the staff for their efforts to review member requests and craft the product before us. As our nation weathers the COVID-19 pandemic, we must ensure that members of Congress can effectively work on behalf of their constituents and that legislative branch employees can perform their duties safely. The fiscal year 2021 legislative branch appropriations bill would do so by providing $640 million for the members' representational allowance, a 4% increase above the 2020 enacted levels, providing offices with the ability to meet rising costs and ensure a safe environment for staff. $631.3 million for the architect of the Capitol, $31.8 million above FY 2020 enacted levels, and $2 million for modernization efforts in the House. An increase of $500,000 for the Office of Diversity and Inclusion. This bill would also honor the rights of DACA recipients who wish to work in the legislative branch. In addition to building a more diverse staff today, the bill also includes strong language, removing statues and imagery that honors divisive figures who were involved in the Confederacy or otherwise have unambiguous records of racial tolerance. The Capitol and its grounds should be a place where all Americans feel welcome to work and visit. I look forward to moving this bill through the appropriations process, and I thank you, all the members on this committee, for your excellent work. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Chairwoman Lowy. Ranking Member Granger.
Thank you. I'd like to thank Chairman Ryan for presenting this bill today that provides funds for the operations of the legislative branch for fiscal year 2021. I appreciate the work you and Ranking Member have done to address critical issues that affect the Congress. This bill recognizes the important bipartisan work of the House Select Committee on Modernization by establishing a new account to begin implementing recommendations to make Congress more effective, efficient, and transparent on behalf of the American people. The bill funds priorities of the architect of the Capitol in order to support the Capitol's aging infrastructure and promote the safety and health of employees and visitors. We all owe a debt of gratitude to the Capitol police officers who put themselves in harm's way to keep the Capitol complex safe. The men and women of the Capitol Police demonstrate the highest standard of professionalism, and we're grateful for their service. The coronavirus has created significant challenges in keeping members and staff safe. We learn more about this virus every day and must ensure the legislative branch can continue to operate throughout this pandemic. We hope we can work together on supplemental coronavirus appropriations to ensure funds are available when needed. I also have other concerns that will prevent me from supporting this bill in its current form. Less than a year ago, the bipartisan budget agreement set the top-line spending level for fiscal year 2021. There was consensus at the time that bills would not contain policy riders. This bill violates the spirit of this agreement. The total cost of the bill increases by 5%. This is only able to happen because emergency funding is used in other bills, which frees up space within the budget caps to spend more in this bill and other bills. In addition, there are new riders inserted that are more appropriately addressed by the Authorizing Committee and the Joint Committee of Congress on the Library. I hope we can come together on these issues as the process moves forward. In closing, I want to thank the subcommittee members for their work on this bill and thank the staff, Michelle Reinschuttle, on my staff as well as the majority staff, and I thank you, Mr. Chairman, and yield back.
Thank you, Ranking Member Granger. Is there any further discussion, or does any member wish to offer an amendment to the measure before us? Mr. Ruppersberger?
Yes, I move that the bill be favorably.
Hold on one second. Does anyone have an amendment or anything? Okay.
No amendments.
No amendments. Chairman Ruppersberger?
Sure. Thank you. I move that the bill be favorably reported to the full committee.
Thank you, Mr. Ruppersberger. Subcommittee vote on the motion to support the chairman's mark. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay.
Nay.
The ayes have it. The motion is approved. I ask unanimous consent. That staff be permitted to make technical and conforming changes to the measure just approved. Please ensure that the materials before you are returned to the subcommittee staff before you leave the room. And I would also like to thank the committee staff, Matt and Shalonda, and our team on our side and your team on your side. This has been a less than stellar environment to try to piece these bills together. So we want to say thank you to everyone for your hard work. And I know it's not over. So I'd like to thank you, and the committee stands adjourned.